Welcome to Mary's Eclectic Interests. We're going to be making Buckeyes, which are basically a peanut butter candy. They actually taste like peanut butter cups. There aren't very many ingredients, but this is a very labor-intensive candy making process. The ingredients you'll need will be 12 ounces of chocolate candy coating. I have almond bark. You can get that in chocolate and vanilla. If you have family members that don't like chocolate, just roll it in the vanilla almond bark. There's 1.5 cups of creamy peanut butter, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We'll measure out the 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And there's also over on the left-hand side 1/2 cup of butter or margarine. Now in the back here, there's 4 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. But this is before we will be sifting it. This powdered sugar must be sifted before use. And I'll show you the difference, but that makes a difference in the lightness of the peanut butter base. If you don't sift it, what I found out is that when you roll the peanut butter portion of this candy, it literally sticks to your mouth. It's horrible, basically. So I made sure I put on here sift before measuring, but I wanted to show you this is 4 3/4 cups prior to sifting. Now I'm going to take this all out here, and we're going to sift our powdered sugar. And I'm going to sift it in this bowl. Here's my sifter. And what we're going to do is sift it in here, and then I'll have to measure. Now I'm not putting it all in at once because I figured that's why I usually have a blue tablecloth down. And I decided to heck with that because it's just going to have this fine powder all over. Now you can see why I'm sifting it. You can see that there's big clumps in there. Now some of these clumps we can get rid of. I'm going to get a little thing here and I'm going to knock that down. Let's see if we can't get some more of this. Yeah, that's about as, all right. I'm going to get another bowl to put those big clunks in. We don't need those big clunks. So I'm just going to throw them over here. And that's what you want to get rid of, those big clunks. And that's what I wanted to show you. Not to mention that when this is remeasured, there should be some powdered sugar left over, or there may not be. It all depends upon how many clumps we're going to get in this. Now I'm not going around and around with this. I'm just kind of going back and forth on the bottom, mainly because if I do that, oh, that's great. Guess what happened? My sifter, oh, I thought I broke it. There's so many clunks that, there it goes. Okay, like I said, there's quite a bit in here that isn't any good. Now most of your powdered sugar has cornstarch in it. And since I can't have cornstarch, I bought some organic powdered sugar. I've never used organic before, and this has tapioca starch in it, and I'm a little concerned on whether that's going to make a difference in the texture or not, being that I've only made these before with corn because I made them for the family and I didn't eat them. Now these, because I'm making them and I don't have anybody to give them to, I plan on eating them. So I wanted to make sure that it didn't have something in it that I was allergic to. And for those who don't know the difference between an allergy and a sensitivity, sensitivity is something that you might, itch a little bit or something like that. It's not anything real drastic. An allergy is when you can have respiratory issues or giant hives. Every person is different with their allergies. You can have the same person with the same allergy and have totally different symptoms. That's why they're so hard to look at all of this. I may have to bring some more powdered sugar out just because so much of this is so clunky. Oops, I got a big pile of it on the counter there. And for some reason, this is an old sifter, and for some reason it's not letting me, there it goes. Probably have to oil it one of these days and get rid of some of the there, or buy a different one. Okay, now we have this left in here. I don't think it's going to make that much difference, but I want it out of here, which means it's going to go right through that onto the counter. Yep, see, I told you it was. Okay, let's see how many cups I can get out of this before, because I lost so much over here. Oops, I need to get something flat to go across. Here we go. There's one. Two, and I'm not forcing it down, I'm just putting it in the measuring cup. Three. Four. And then I need 3/4 of a cup. Here it is. Nope, that's 2/3. Here we go, 3/4. And I wonder if there's 3/4 in here. That's 4 3/4. Now, this is, we have all of this left, and we have all of this, plus what's on the counter. So you can see why you need to sift this. Because there's a good, almost another cup in here. And of course, this makes it messy when we're doing this type of thing. Now I want to make sure, I'm going to be putting it back in here. Now I was supposed to sift the powdered sugar and the salt, which I blew that little thing. And how am I going to do this? I'm just going to put this in here. Hopefully it'll go all the way through. And I will take a whisk and whisk it in, and hopefully that'll do it. That's what happens when you don't pay attention to what you're doing. So we have the powdered sugar and the salt, and this is a pretty big Man, I didn't realize it was going to come. I usually use a great big heavy-duty baking dish. And I'm hoping that this, but it does go down. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because I'm going to have to cut in all this peanut butter and all the, here we go, the butter. Here's our peanut butter, 1.5 cups. And this is also a messy part. And I think I should have gotten a little deeper bowl, and I'm going to regret not putting it back in that deeper one over there, aren't I? Okay, I'm trying to get as much of that peanut butter out as I can. Sometimes I think I should take this portion and blend it on the side together, but I never have. I just always just kind of throw it in. I'm glad I have a lot of spatulas. Okay. This all goes in the sink. I need a teaspoon of vanilla and, of course, the butter. I think what I'm going to do, oh, I can't get my bottle thing open. I always have trouble with these things. All right, be that way. I have, this is another one of my little handy dandy tools if you can't get things open. This thing goes all the way up here. See it? And you just push it to the end. Don't tell me you're not going to work today. Well, I'll be doggone, this isn't working. It always works. There it goes. And here's my butter. And I think what I am going to do is I'm going to put my 1 teaspoon of vanilla in the butter. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it, hoping that it'll help with the blending in, because a teaspoon of vanilla isn't very much. And then we're going to pour all of this in. And this is even more messy. So here we go. Get my little tool out of the way. And then we have to mix this all in. Doesn't this sound like fun? Whoops. And this is going to take a while to get all that powdered sugar mixed in with your peanut butter and the vanilla and all the other things. So I'm trying to do it. It's mixing in pretty good. And then what I do when I get this all done is then what I am going to do when this is done is make little tiny balls out of these things. And then once the balls are made, then you have to take your chocolate and melt it, which you can do 2 different ways. You can use a double boiler. Most people know what a double boiler is. A pan on the bottom and a pan on top. There's water in the bottom pan, and you put your chocolate in the top pan, and that water boils and heats up the top pan, and your chocolate will melt. Now again, my stove is behind me, and the cameras are in front. So when, I don't want to lose all that good stuff. So this is pretty much the same as putting a pastry together. You have to keep moving it, mixing it, moving it, until you get all that fine stuff out. It's getting there. It's a little time consuming, but the results are worth it. And I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, because this makes about 8 dozen little, depends upon how big those little balls are that you make. And it also depends upon how much chocolate you put on it, I suppose. But you have to dip it in chocolate, and you'll see how I do that. And there's a trick to that too, because once I get all these little balls made, I'll put the whole bowl into the refrigerator and let that set for a while. Sometimes I'll do it and then come back several hours later and melt the almond bark, or your chocolate. I use that almond bark. And then dip it, because I find if I do it with from what I have here, because the butter is melted and everything else, every time I dipped it into the chocolate, a lot of times they would break up, because you're putting them in there with a little toothpick. And the toothpick goes in the middle, and you get it down in the chocolate, and then it would fall apart, because it was just not, it was so soft. Well, almost. It's this last portion that's always hard to do. It's getting harder and harder and harder. My nephew came into town one year, and so both my nephews, and it was the first time my nephews and niece were all together. So I made them each a whole batch, and I spread it over 3 days. I would mix in the morning, throw it in the fridge, and then at night I would dip everything. Or I do it in the night, whichever, and let it set overnight and dip in the morning. So you can do either one. So two of my one niece and nephew, they like chocolate. So I'm always giving them the chocolate ones. But my other nephew does not like chocolate. So I buy a whole package of vanilla almond bark for him. This was a treat that I would make them every Christmas once I got this recipe. And then when they were going to college, then I would make 4 batches. 1 for each of the nephews and nieces, one batch to be split between myself, my parents, and their parents. And they would bring their big container to college, and pretty soon I'd be getting another request, at least from my eldest nephew, that they disappeared and could I make more. So I think that one time I made them a batch, and were they going to England? They were going somewhere. So here he is, he's packing all these homemade chocolates. Now you're going to be getting your hands into this anyway, so let's see how we're doing down there. Getting most of this done. Yeah, I want to get as much of this finished as I can. Now you'll make these little balls. Well, there, this is nice and firm. There we go. Oh boy, I have powdered sugar all over the place. I'll put that in. Smells good. And I'm trying to get the last of that powdered sugar mixed in this bowl. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. When I do this, you can either take a chunk like this and start rolling. And this is what it's going to look like. This is really soft with that melted butter. Another thing you can do, and because I'm not giving these to anybody, I'm not going to be as fastidious with putting rubber gloves on and all that stuff. This is a melon ball maker. So if you want to try and get consistency, you can put this in here and then whack it out. And then you can see there is a little bit of difference. See, this one's a little smaller, this one's a little larger. So then you'll get more of a consistency, the same size over and over again. And of course in your melon thing, I use the larger one. There's also a smaller one, but see how much bigger this one is and how this fits right in here like that. So this is about the size I want to do. But I'm not going to do this all on film. I'm telling you that right now. This is something you go and I sit and I watch TV as I'm making these little peanut butter balls. And when I get them all done, I'll show them to you. And then later on, quite a bit later, we will be doing the dipping. Okay, we have, all right, earlier I made all of these lovely little peanut butter balls. I did that yesterday while I was watching television. I put it in the refrigerator for the night to get them cold. And now I have this lovely chocolate sitting here. And I'm going to be dipping it into the chocolate and putting it on a piece of wax paper. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a toothpick, here's my little toothpick, and I'm going to put it in to the peanut butter ball. See? Easy. And then you dip, pull it out, tap it a little bit. The hardest part is to get it to let go over here. I could just leave that in there, but I don't want to have a bunch of, here, maybe this will work. So what I want to do is take this off, and then I take a little bit of the chocolate and I put it on top here, and that covers the hole. So I'm going to be doing that over and over and over again. And sometimes I'll get them all on there and then I'll do the little holes later. This is a new little pot that I have. Usually I use a double boiler. And I found this the other day, and knowing that I was going to be doing this, I thought, you know, this might be really a handy little thing to have. It's a candy. I'm going to put this over here. This will hold this down. There we go. That one has kind of a big hole. I don't like that one. Okay, let's do this. Let's use a toothpick to get that off. Get a little bit of these drippings off of here so we're not wasting all of that. And we'll put it over here. There it goes. Then I'll take the spoon and put a little bit of chocolate on top here and cover that little hole. And then when it hardens, you won't even know. I'm just going to put this on the side here. Stay there. These are kind of stuck together in here, so I'm going to loosen them up. There we go. I want to get these done before they get to room temperature. Now you'll get as many peanut butter Buckeyes. It all depends upon how large you roll these little balls. If you're one of those people that wants smaller ones and wants to sit there and roll little teeny balls, all that, you can do that, and you can get as many as you want, or you can make larger ones. Doesn't really matter because you're not going to put them in the oven or anything, you're just dipping them in chocolate. Oh, this one doesn't want to come off. Be mean. I guess I put that, there it goes. Boy, that one just did not want to come out. I won't stick it in this one. far. There. There, that one came off real nice. And then I put them on the wax paper because it's easier to remove them later on when they hardened. So when I do this, oops, this is going to take a while, so you'll probably see me speed this. Oops, and that's there. This one went down in and fell in. So I used to make these usually at Christmas time, and then I would go and buy the cute little tiny candy cups, they call them, little candy paper cups. And I would put those all in there, and I would put them in either a metal candy container, or what they have plastic ones now, they're real nice. And I'd line it all around. You could usually get 3 layers, and then I would cut either tissue paper to put in between, or leftover Christmas paper. You know how you wrap a gift and there's always a whole bunch left. That's a great way of getting rid of it. But since these are all for me, once they get all done, and I'm going to do this before it goes any further here, I'm just going to throw them in a great big Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. There we go. And I'm not sure if I'll have any. Oh, did I miss that one in the front? There, all right, there. Okay, put you back in. These are already, the first ones I put down are already hardening. I'm trying to get us a little bit more of the chocolate off of this, the almond bark, because on the bottom, they end up having this little pool of chocolate around the bottom when you put it down. So I'm trying to eliminate that waste. It's almost impossible, but we're giving it our best shot. I'm giving it my best shot here to. So this is something that if you have kids and you mix this portion, your peanut butter balls, this would be a great one. You have it all mixed. Here, you kids go sit down and make all of those into balls. 68. That's 68 candies. Well, there was 69. I ate one, okay? But what can I say? I had to taste it. The ingredients you'll need will be 12 ounces of chocolate candy coating. I have almond bark. You can get that in chocolate and vanilla. There's 1.5 cups of creamy peanut butter, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 cup of butter or margarine. There's 4 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. Sift before measuring. That makes a difference in the lightness of the peanut butter base. Sift the powdered sugar and the salt. Cut in your peanut butter and the vanilla and the butter and all the other things. Take a chunk and start rolling into peanut butter balls and dipping it into the chocolate and putting it on a piece of wax paper. Right now they taste like a peanut butter cup, to me. And I love peanut butter cups. So this is what I call my imitation peanut butter cups.